Good day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's tourism lesson. I'm Mr. Samgelo Innocent Uyanda Nkonyeni, a grade 12 tourism educator and head of department from Ekurhuleni South District. This lesson is brought to you by Gauteng Department of Education in collaboration with Siboney Discovery Center and a broadcast by Phakama. Right. Today we are going to be looking at South Africa's UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. This is going to be part of your question 5. Remember question 4 we dealt with the world icons, right? So this is going to be part of the section C where we are looking at the tourism attractions. So in the question 5 of your prelim papers and also your final papers, you're going to come across the UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. But our focus in this context, if you remember very well when we're dealing with world icons, we stated that some of the icons are UNESCO's World Heritage Site. So now on question 5, we are only going to be focusing on South Africa's UNESCO's World Heritage Sites, right? So my sources are from Via Africa, grade 12 tourism learners book, Focus grade 12 learners book, Oxford Successful Tourism grade 12 learners book, and most of my activities are some of the previous exam question papers that you have, and this is going to help us so that we understand better in terms of some of the questioning strategies that are used by our examiners. So I hope you have pen and paper there with you and you're going to enjoy the journey. We are going to be focusing on South Africa's UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. Let's move. Right. The lesson focus for today objectives. Number 1, remember in grade 10, term 4, we looked at the heritage sites. So we're just going to go back a bit using grade 10's content in terms of what do you mean, or we'll get an explanation of the concept known as heritage site, meaning what is a heritage site. From there, we will move to discussing the concept, explaining the concept of World Heritage Site. So now once you know what is a heritage site, then we will move to us trying to understand now what do you mean by a World Heritage Site? What is that? From getting the understanding of what a heritage site is and what the World Heritage Site is, we will then try to look at, remember I said we're going to be focusing on UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. So we're going to look at who is this UNESCO and also try to know what the logo of UNESCO in terms of when you get there on your paper so that you can be able to identify it. Then we'll move to looking at the role, right? The role of UNESCO, particularly in terms of the World Heritage Sites, meaning what is the role or the main functions of UNESCO, linking it to what? To the World Heritage Sites. We will then after move to the different types of World Heritage Sites that we have, right? So because we are saying the World Heritage Sites have been categorized. So we will try to look at the types of World Heritage Sites. From there now we will try to look at the criteria for World Heritage Sites, meaning which elements must a site have in order for us to say this it is a World Heritage Site. So there we're going to be looking at the UNESCO's criteria for World Heritage Sites. After that, then we will try, remember I said our focus, when you're doing icons, we said some of the world icons, they were categorized as a World Heritage Site. So we're going to go down, but our focus for today will be on South Africa's 10 World Heritage Sites. So there, you need to remember that most of our textbooks, they are a bit, not really outdated, but when they were written, when we're studying CAPS, there in most of the textbook, when you're doing the World Heritage Site, our textbook only has 8 World Heritage Sites, right? But today I'm also going to give you the 2 additional ones that were declared, some of the attractions that were declared World Heritage Site in South Africa after our textbooks were published. So now when we're going to be looking at the South Africa's World Heritage Site, we are going to be focusing on the following. Number one, we are going to look at the name of each World Heritage Site that we have here in South Africa. Then we are going to be looking at the location in terms of where is this site located in South Africa. But we are also going to be looking at the location of the site, especially on what? On a South African map. Once we have looked at that, we are also going to look at the short description of each site. Particularly, I will be focusing on what is particularly preserved or protected at that particular World Heritage Site. Then before activities, then I will look at the importance or the value of World Heritage Sites, focusing what? On South African tourism industry, particularly where each World Heritage Site is located here in South Africa. What benefits, what value does a country having a World Heritage Site could have, especially in tourism context? Then, as always, I will try to conclude by looking at few activities for expansion. Right, let's move. Right, the first thing that you need to look at here, I believe that you can take a screenshot and so on, or a picture, or write down first. We need to know first, what is a World Heritage Site? We first need to remember that we spoke about, when we do icons, we spoke about, we explained what is an attraction, right? We need to remember that we said an attraction, it is a site, right? An attraction, it is a site or a place that tourists visit. So more or less the same thing. A heritage site from grade 10, we are saying it is a place or a site or an attraction. But what happens at this attraction? We are saying this attraction, it is protected because of its importance to our heritage. So a heritage site, it is a place, a site, or an attraction that is protected because of its importance to our heritage. When you're talking about our heritage, it is about our past, our different cultures, and so on. So a heritage site, it is a place or a site or an attraction that is protected because of its importance to our heritage. Meaning, if we do not look after that heritage, that particular heritage site, it means that in the future, our children will not benefit anything. So we are protecting this site because there is something, there is something unique that it is about that particular site. Then we move now, once you understand what is a heritage site, we are now saying at world level, what is a World Heritage Site, right? UNESCO says that a World Heritage Site, it is a landmark or an area which is selected by UNESCO. Who is UNESCO? Which is what? The United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. So at the world level, for a place to be declared a World Heritage Site, we are saying it is a landmark or an area which is selected by UNESCO, which is what? The United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. Why are they choosing this place? So that particular place must have some of the following elements. The place will have cultural, historical, remember we're talking about what? Heritage. Cultural, historical, scientific, or other form of significance, something that is making this particular attraction to stand out, right? It is a site or a landmark or an area which is selected by United Nations Educational, Scientific, Cultural Organization. We are saying this place as having what? Cultural, historical, scientific, or other form of significance, and it is legally protected by international treaties. These are the organization, right? Then we are saying the sites are judged important to the collective interest of humanity. So it cannot be just any place, but this place must have outstanding cultural, historical, scientific, or any other form that is significant, right? So it has to be a place that means what? To be protected, because if you don't look after it, then we are going to lose that particular heritage. And they are legally protected. You'll remember that in grade 11, we looked at SARA, right? South African Heritage Resources Agency. And then we said, what is the role of SARA? It is to protect what? All the national heritage estates that we have in the country. But at global level, we don't have SARA, but we have what? We have UNESCO. Right? Please do not try to confuse the two. SARA, it is from grade 11, but they are protecting what? The heritage sites that we have in the country. But the ones on the World Heritage Site list, they are protected by who? By the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organizations. Why? Because that particular place has what? Has cultural, historical, scientific, or any further other form of significance, right? And we are saying they are legally protected by the international treaties. These are the laws. The sites are judged important to the collective interest of humanity. So we need to know them and also even to learn about them and preserve whatever that is protected in that particular World Heritage Site. Cool. So now we are saying not all places or tourism attractions must be or can be regarded as World Heritage Sites. But we are saying to be selected as a World Heritage Site, a World Heritage Site must be an already classified landmark, right? Meaning that particular attraction at national level, it must already be classified as a landmark. Sometimes that is unique in some respect, in terms of maybe that particular place has something geographically that is wow, and or has been historically identifiable place having special cultural or physical significance, right? It is not really new places, but that particular place might have what? Something unique in terms of its geographical location, or what you can discover there in terms of the rocks, geology, and so on. Or that particular place might have special cultural or physical significance. For example, we can be talking about an attraction that is very old, that has an ancient ruin, or it could be a historical structure, or it could be a building, or it could be a city, a complex, a desert, a forest, island, lake, monument, mountain, or any wilderness area. So this could be all the World Heritage Sites that you might have. A particular place might have, it might be unique in some respect in terms of its geographically or historical identifiable place having what? Special cultural or physical significance, right? So it can be what? An ancient ruin. This is maybe a very old place that has been left there, or a historical structure, or it can be a building, city, a complex, a desert, a forest, island, lake, monument, mountains, or a wilderness area. So those could be what? Any of the World Heritage Sites that you might have. But we are saying that particular place for you to be a World Heritage Site, it may signify a remarkable, right, accomplishment accomplishment of humanity and serve as evidence of our intellectual history on the planet. So that particular place, for it to be a World Heritage Site, it has to have such elements, right? Not every place, not every lake can be a World Heritage Site. Not any monument can be a World Heritage Site. Not every mountain can be a World Heritage Site. Not any forest can be a World Heritage Site. But it has to have what? Something remarkable, something that is going to stand out so that we can be able to learn one or two things about it, and that place must be protected. So a World Heritage Site can be any of these things that I have just discussed here. Right. Then now we move to the role of UNESCO, especially in terms of or in relation to the World Heritage Sites. It is very important that you also know what does UNESCO stands for, especially in food, right? Sometimes on your papers, you may give you UNESCO and say, write it in food, right? So you need to know it. It is United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. So what is the main role of UNESCO, particularly in terms of the World Heritage Sites? Number one, the role of UNESCO, remember here it works with it from what? It is a part of the board of the United Nations, right? It is the organization that encourages the identification, that is number one. So it encourages what? The identification of attractions that can be regarded as World Heritage Sites. So in a particular country, we might have attractions that have those elements that I spoke about. It might be a lake that has outstanding evidence. It might be a geographical area that has outstanding. So the first role, the UNESCO encourages what? The identifications of attractions that can be regarded possibly to be declared what? World Heritage Site. Number two, it is for the protection and preservation of cultural and natural heritage sites in the world, right? Once we have identified those attractions, once we have identified those icons, they need to be what? They need to be preserved, right? Because remember, we are preserving what? We are protecting, preserving our heritage. And we are saying it might be cultural or natural heritage sites. I will try to clarify the difference between cultural heritage sites and also the natural heritage sites. Another function of UNESCO, we are saying it is the main body that developed criteria for sites to be on a World Heritage Site list. So later we will also look at what criteria must an attraction have in order for us to try to declare it to be a World Heritage Site, or in order for it to be on the World Heritage Site list. Then we are saying a place or an object, it is given a heritage site status if it is recognized as having outstanding natural, historical, and or cultural value. Meaning not all attractions or icons or attractions or sites can be regarded as the World Heritage Sites. Hence later I will go and discuss what the criteria for a site to be on a World Heritage Site list. So our duties in our communities is to try to learn as much, to do more research as much as you can, more especially in terms of about the historical facts that our main attractions have, so that we can try to apply, obviously following all the procedures from SARA and so on up until we get to the criteria, so that we can try to do what? To identify the attractions that might have outstanding natural, historical, or cultural value, and that you may feel that they need to be part of the UNESCO's World Heritage Site. So the role of UNESCO in World Heritage Sites, number one, it is to encourage the identification of what? Of World Heritage Sites. Two, it is for the protection and preservation of what? Cultural, natural heritage sites in the world. And 3, it is to develop what? The criteria for the sites to be what? On a World Heritage Site list. Right. So those are some of the roles or the functions that we have for UNESCO. So they might give you a logo like this one. Let me just show you what is the UNESCO's logo. Okay. We'll look at the UNESCO's logo later, because sometimes on your papers they will give you the logo of UNESCO, and then they might show you the logo and then ask you to do what? To identify what the function of that particular organization, the function of what? Of UNESCO. So now, since we know what are World Heritage Sites, how do you identify World Heritage Sites, and a few points about World Heritage Sites, let's just move to trying to get understanding in terms of the types of World Heritage Sites. What am I saying here? I'm saying that the World Heritage Sites have been divided into 2, if not 3. I'll explain why am I saying there is a third part. The first one, we've got cultural sites, right? Or cultural heritage sites. Then the second one, we have natural heritage sites, right? And then the third one, we will have World Heritage Sites that are known as mixed World Heritage Sites. So I'm going to try to explain why am I saying there are 3 instead of 2. All right. So type number 1, we've got sites that are cultural World Heritage Sites. What do I mean by that? Remember, culture here, it is about what? The lifestyles of the people. Maybe in that particular section, they are preserving what? Languages, they are preserving the lifestyles and so on of a particular tribe. So what are cultural heritage sites? We are saying, according to UNESCO, cultural heritage sites have to show a masterpiece of human creativity or an important exchange of human values over a long period of time. So in terms of a cultural heritage site, number 1, it must show a masterpiece of human creativity, right? It has to involve what? Human. Or an important exchange of human values over a long period of time. So when we go to a cultural heritage site, obviously, maybe what is preserved, let me use maybe the culture of the Nama people, which are part of the Khoisan people. So when we go to a World Heritage Site that is preserving, that is part of cultural site, it means when we go there, we are going to learn about a particular languages, we are going to learn about particular values and so on, cuisine, food, and so on, the lifestyle of those people who are living in that particular area. This exchange must be seen, for example, in architecture. There it is the design, the heart, and so on of those buildings. When you go and visit them, they have to link and have a connection with a particular what? Culture or tribe that is preserved there. So, or technology, the planning of the town or city and the design of the landscape. So immediately when you see the way the architecture, the buildings have been built and so on, the planning of the town or the city or its landscapes, then you immediately associate that particular World Heritage Sites with a particular culture or tribe. A cultural heritage site, it has to show evidence of a tradition, right? Remember, we are talking about what? The heritage. So maybe it is in terms of slaughtering. We know the Khoisan, they've got their own drawings. You will see when we look at Ukhahlamba Drakensberg Park, then KwaZulu-Natal, That's what we're talking about. It has to show evidence of a tradition or civilization that has disappeared or is still alive, right? Sometimes when you go and visit that particular heritage site, you will see the drawings, for example, on the set, on the rocks there in Drakensberg, Ukhahlamba Mountain. You will see the evidence of the Khoisan that they once lived there. Or when you go to the Namakwa, there in Northern Cape, or when you go to the Richtersveld. So those are the things that I'm talking about when you talk about what? Cultural heritage sites. You're going to see the evidence of a tradition, the things that were happening there in the past, or civilization that has disappeared or it is still alive in that particular World Heritage Site. Then that particular site that has human values, masterpiece of human creativity, the architecture that can be easily be identifiable with a particular culture, then you will know that particular site, it is a cultural World Heritage Site. Right. A continuation. A cultural heritage site, it can also be a very good example of a type of a building. Remember, I spoke about architecture, or a group of buildings or technology, or reflect important stages in human history. It might be as well a place where humans settled and used the land in a way that represents their culture, and can also be a cultural site, especially if the area is affected by change that cannot be reserved. So it can be a place where humans once settled. For example, when you look, we're going to look at Mapungubwe, the one that we have the ending Popo. That's going to be an example of what? Of a cultural heritage site. It can be a place where humans settled and used the land in a way that represents their culture. It can also be a cultural heritage site, especially if the area it is affected by change that cannot be reversed. Now we are saying the authenticity and the way the site is protected and managed are also the important factors. When we're talking about authenticity, we're talking about what? Being original. So whatever cultures, lifestyles that were happening years back, they must not be what be changed, because they need to be passed down from one generation to the next generation. So if we are protecting the Nama culture, we know that we need to teach the younger generation in terms of their lifestyles and so on, so that they can be able to do what? To pass it down to the other incoming generation. So we are saying the authenticity and the way the site is protected and managed, it is also some of the important factors for us to consider the site to be what? To be a cultural heritage site. Remember, we said we are available on our WhatsApp line 063 629 3655, 063 629 3655. This is where you can be able to interact with us in the studio, and then we're going to send you messages and we can reply to your questions that are relevant to today's topic. Right. Then we move to natural heritage sites. What are we talking about when we talk about natural heritage sites? Remember, in grade 10, we also spoke about our ecosystems and so on, right? When we spoke about fauna and flora. So natural heritage sites, we are saying natural sites can be considered to become World Heritage Sites. They must show stages. They must show major stages in the Earth history in terms of ecology, what happened in those mountains, what happens in those rocks. Or it can be any discoveries that we have discovered. We are saying natural site. A site can be considered to become a World Heritage Site if it shows what? Major stages in the Earth history, ecology, and so on, plants, and so on. It can be in fossils. Remember, if those people who find fossils and so on, who study rocks, this can be in fossils, rocks, and how the land or natural features like mountains has been influenced over time. So for it to become a natural heritage site, Those are the things that we look at. We study the rocks, the type of land, the type of fauna that is found there, the flora that is found, and then we can say, oh, this can be what a natural site. How can you also see a natural heritage site? If an area contains rare natural formations, right? When you say something it is rare, it is something that cannot be found easily. For example, maybe that particular place might have unique rock shapes, or it can be very beautiful, or it has habitats and species of animals. Hence, I spoke about fauna and flora, right? Animals and plants that can only exist there. Then it becomes very important for us to preserve and protect it. You will see when you look at attraction, the world icons that we have there in the Western Cape, we're going to look at one that preserves what? A lot of fauna and flora, right? The Cape Floral region, right? For example, so we are saying if an area contains rare natural formations, like it has unique rock shapes or formations, or the place is very beautiful, or it has a lot of habitats and species of animals and plants that can only exist there, then we are saying it is very crucial or important for that particular site to be protected. So when a particular site has all those elements, then it can be part of what? Of UNESCO's Natural World Heritage Site. And then the last point I'm saying, as with cultural sites, so looking after a natural site, it is also very important. Then we move to the third type, of which I say it is mixed World Heritage Site. So we are saying sometimes when you travel to the attractions, some will have both elements of culture and also elements of nature in them, right? It will be a site that preserves culture. It could also be a same site that also has natural elements in them. And then in 1992, then UNESCO decided that decided that places that show the relationship between people and environment, they could also be part of what? Cultural landscapes. And we are saying they are part of what? Mixed World Heritage Sites. Why? Because they show what? A relationship between people and the environment. Right, so that is why they are mixed. So when you go to a mixed World Heritage Site, it has both the elements of cultural heritage sites and also the elements of what? Of natural heritage sites. So the three types that I said we have. We have what? A mixed. We've got natural. We also have what? Cultural heritage sites. How will you be able to categorize the three? By just checking what is particularly preserved in that particular site. Is it only cultural elements? It is only natural elements. And then if you are going to discover, experience both, then that attraction, a World Heritage Site, will be what? Will be a mixed World Heritage Site. Right. We are going to move. Then I'm going to move now to since now we know what are World Heritage Sites, who's responsible for World Heritage Sites, I'm going to try to give you tips, right? It would be nice for you to take a picture of this or jot them down fast. Tips for studying South Africa's World Heritage Sites. The same way I gave you tips when we were dealing with icons earlier in the term, now we're going to be moving tips for studying South Africa's World Heritage Site. Before I discuss all these tips, I'm going to give you 2 minutes so that you can try to be able to do what? To jot the tips down. As soon as I come back, then I'm going to discuss each tip separately. I'll be back. Right, welcome back, welcome back. We are still busy with term 2's work. We are almost there because, this is term 3's work. We are going to be looking at now tips for studying South Africa's World Heritage Sites. Then I said to you that you need to jot down the tips. Then I came back to explain them. Now, this is you now preparing for your section C of your paper. You've dealt with your icons. You are done with your icons. That was question 4. Now we're moving to question 5. Remember, we are going to be looking at 10 South Africa's World Heritage Sites. And remember, I myself as well, I don't even know which ones will come out on our papers. So you need to study all the icons, but focus on some of the following tips that I'm going to give to you, because I doubt that all of them will be assessed, but unfortunately we don't know which ones will come out on our papers. So tip number 1, know the correct name, right? The correct name of what? Of each World Heritage Site. Okay, so this WHS, it is a World Heritage Site, but please do write it in full, right? So this is World Heritage Site. So tip number 1, you need to know the correct name. If you need to get marks, the spelling must be correct here. Slight mistakes, then people will lose marks. If you want the person who's going to be marking your script to smile, then ensure that you know the correct spelling. Also try to pronounce, to practice the pronunciation of some of the World Heritage Sites. The second thing that the examiners normally focus on, they try to check whether do we understand the location of each World Heritage Site. I'm saying here location where? On the South African map. Right. So whatever textbook that you are using, ensure that you know the location of your World Heritage Site on the map. What do I mean by that? I'm saying location in terms of the provinces. Remember, we've got 9 provinces here in South Africa. So you need to know where each World Heritage Site is located on the South African map. Then I said, remember I said some of my sources are from, I'm using 3 books. When you turn to page 222 and 223 from Via Africa Grade 12 Learner's book, there's a very beautiful map there with so much information about this. But remember I said it only has 8 World Heritage Sites. I will also give you the additional 2 and show you their new locations before we end. So check, do I know the correct name? Do I know the location of each World Heritage Site on the South African map? Then we need to know a short description of each World Heritage Site. But I am saying when you study each World Heritage Site, we are interested on whether do you know what is preserved or protected in that particular site. So you need to know that. That is in terms of what? Short description. Do I know what is preserved or protected in that particular site? Write few points there. Then some questions they might ask you about. Remember, the World Heritage Site, remember we said there's a process that a site must be followed in order for it to be declared a World Heritage Site. You first identify the site. There's a lot of things that must be done up until the point whereby now UNESCO approves and say on this year now we declare that this site, it is a World Heritage Site. So you also need to know the year in which it was declared what? A UNESCO World Heritage Site. Then, remember I spoke about the types of World Heritage Site. So each World Heritage Site that you're going to be studying, you need to know whether is it a natural site or cultural, or it has both elements, or what? A mixed World Heritage Site. So as you are making your own summaries and your own notes, make sure that you also know that, oh, this site, it is a natural one, this one, it is a cultural World Heritage Site, or this one, it is a mixed World Heritage Site. Then remember I said earlier that not every site or an attraction can be declared a World Heritage Site, but it has to meet the UNESCO's criteria. So I will move to discuss. So when you are busy discussing or summarizing each World Heritage Site, you also need to know the UNESCO's criteria that it meets, right? The last one, be able to identify the World Heritage Site on the picture. This is for the visual learners, right? The examiners might give you a picture of a particular World Heritage Site, and immediately for visual literacy, when you interpret it, then it might remind you in terms of the name and the location and so on. So these are some of the few points that I normally give to learners when you try to prepare for the World Heritage Site. Let's move. Now, these are the names of the World Heritage Site that we have in South Africa that we are going to be looking at. Remember, I said the spelling must be correct. You must also know what? The location. The first one that we have, we're going to look at Richtersveld Cultural and Botanical Landscape. And this one we are saying it is located in the Northern Cape Province. The second one that we have here, we have Isimangaliso Wetland Park. You'll remember it was also there on your task, the task that we spoke about, the task that you wrote for term 2. Isimangaliso Wetland Park was also there. That is our second World Heritage Site that we have in South Africa. And then we have Cape Floral Region, right? Cape Floral Region is not in the Eastern Cape, but it is in the Western Cape. Apologies there. And when it comes to this one, learners normally confuse this one. It is not Table Mountain, but Cape Floral Region. Remember when we spoke about fauna and flora in grade 10, we said flora, it is what? A group of plants, right? So at the bottom of Table Mountain there, we've got what? The Cape Floral Region that stretches, right? This is where you find the protea plant and so on. So the Cape Floral Region, it is not Table Mountain, but at the bottom right. That is going to be our third World Heritage Site. And then the fourth one here, just be very careful because our textbook still says Cradle of Humankind, right? Remember, we've been to trainings and so on. Just change that and add fossil hominid site, right? Fossil hominid site, because we are saying the Cradle of Humankind, they are found where they in Marubeni. So here, the fourth one, it is going to be fossil hominid site, not Cradle of Humankind. Just be careful there. And then the fifth one, it is Mapungubwe Cultural Landscape. And then this one, we are saying it is located in the Limpopo Province. And then the fossil hominid site, it is located in Gauteng Province. Then Cape Floral Region, we said it is located in the Western Cape. And then we move. Then you've got Robben Island, right? This is going to be number 6. Robben Island, obviously, and then they are located where? In the Western Cape Province. Then we have number 7, Ukahlamba. Just be careful of this. It is Drakensberg Park. Ukahlamba Drakensberg Park, that is located where? In KwaZulu-Natal Province. Then we've got number 8, Vredefort Dome, that is located in the Free State Province. And then we've got Komani, right? Your textbook ends where we have Vredefort Dome. But the up-to-date one, we also have some of the World Heritage Sites or the attractions that were added prior to when CAPS was, after CAPS was introduced. So the additional ones, we've got what? Khomani Cultural Landscape, and then we also have what? Barberton Makhonjwa Mountains in Mpumalanga. Khomani Cultural Landscape, they are located where? In Northern Cape, and then Barberton Makhonjwa Mountains, they are located in Mpumalanga province, right? Remember here it is Maludi Drakensberg Park. Be careful there. Right? Ukhahlamba, remember this is that mountain between South Africa and Lesotho. Right? So the correct one there for us, if you ask about the name, you need to write Drakensberg Park. So these are the 10 World Heritage Sites that we are going to be looking at. I also want you to go extra mile. Don't just rely on your text, just go extra mile so that we can have what additional information. Go to the internet and get the short descriptions of each of the World Heritage Site that you are going to be looking at. Remember, I said we are available on our WhatsApp line 063 629 3655 063 629 3655. This is where you can send us your WhatsApp questions in terms of the content that we are looking at today. Right, so now we're going to be dealing with each of the World Heritage Sites. Remember, I said to you earlier, you need to know how to study each icon in terms of the location or in the South African map. Let's just check this. World Heritage Site in South Africa, can you see? So an examiner may give you a map of South Africa, then maybe they may say here, identify the World Heritage Site number 1 there. Then here maybe it might be number 2, here it might be number 3, here it might be number 4. Or it's written like this, A, B, C, and D, right? We will go later when we deal with activities. I just wanted to show you here in terms of when I say location, what might you expect on your papers. Let's look at the first World Heritage Site. Now I'm going to move a bit to the criteria. The criteria, please, if you have Via Africa textbook, again, please go to page 220 to 221, whereby now they are explaining each of the UNESCO's criteria that a site must meet. The criteria are written in Roman figures, right? They are written in Roman figures. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the next slide, we've got 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. When you read all these criteria, once you have dealt with a short description of each icon, then once you know the criteria, that short description will also help you to guide you in terms of, no, this attraction, I think that it means criteria number 4, or I think it means criteria number 10, or sometimes the attraction might meet more than one criteria. So it is also very important as you're busy studying each icon that you must know which UNESCO's criteria does it meet. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just go to those pages, go and borrow a tourism textbook, or take a picture of this, go to page 220 to 221, and familiarize yourself with the UNESCO's criteria 1 up until criteria 10. Right. Let's now try to deal with the first World Heritage Site. So we've got what? Mapungubwe Cultural Landscape. Be very careful of the spelling. Be very careful there, because you will forfeit marks. So if you want to get full marks, be a smart student and know the correct spelling. There's a reason as to why I've given you the pictures as well. So this is an art of an ivory that was found there. Obviously here these are the landscapes of the Mapungubwe. Remember I said to you when I was describing the difference between cultural and natural sites, I said the architecture When you look at this picture, it is about what? The designs of the architecture of those people who once settled here in the Mapungubwe. But then let's move to the description. We are saying Mapungubwe is set. Here, when we say it is set, we are talking about what? Location. Mapungubwe is set against the northern border of South Africa, joining Zimbabwe and Botswana. So basically, we are saying we're in the northern border in Limpopo province. This is the location. Short description. It is an open, expansive savanna landscape at the confluence of Limpopo and Shashe River, right? Mapungubwe developed into the largest kingdom. So basically, obviously, this one is going to be what? It is going to be a cultural. Let me just add here. It is gonna be our cultural heritage site. Mapungubwe is set against the northern border of South Africa, joining Zimbabwe and Botswana, where particularly in South Africa in Limpopo. It is an open, expansive savanna landscape at the confluence of Limpopo and Shashe rivers. The Mapungubwe developed into the largest. So here we are talking about a particular tribe, right, that once settled in this area where before the 14th century, right? Mapungubwe developed into the largest kingdom in the subcontinent before it was abandoned in the 14th century. Hence, now it is what? It is a World Heritage Site. What survives at this visit is almost untouched remains of the palace sites and also the entire settlement area dependent upon them, as well as two earlier capital sites, the whole presenting an unrivaled pictures of the development of social and political structures over some 400 years, right? This is some of the short description. Obviously, when you go here, you're going to see the beautiful landscapes. You're going to learn about the Mapungubwe, people who once settled there. You're going to take beautiful pictures and so on. When was it first declared a World Heritage Site? In year 2003, right? And it was modified when? In year 2014, when other things were added. Which UNESCO's criteria does it meet? It meets 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? This is Mapungubwe cultural landscape. Then the second one, we've got the Richtersveld Cultural Botanical Landscape. Richtersveld Cultural and Botanical Landscape. Obviously, this one, as you can see, just look at the rock formations or the landscapes. You've got rocks, obviously it's gonna be a natural one. Look at the trees, the way they are there. So it is Richtersveld Cultural Botanical Landscape. Beautiful. That is why this can be regarded a World Heritage Site. Few points there. The 160,000 hectare, this is a very big site. Richtersveld Cultural and Botanical Landscape. It is of dramatic mountainous desert, right, in the Northern Cape. So this is where it is located. The 106,000 hectare Richtersveld Cultural and Botanical Garden, botanical landscape. It is of dramatic mountainous desert in northern Cape of South Africa. It continues to be a cultural landscape, communally owned and managed, right? So the community there, it is also what? It has what? Some ownership of this particular World Heritage Site. This site sustains semi-nomadic pastoral livelihood of the Nama people, right? Which is some part of the Khoisan people, but they are known as what? As the Nama people, meaning when you go there, you are also going to learn about the Nama people, reflecting seasonal patterns that may have persisted for as much as 2 millennia in Southern Africa. It is the only area where the Nama still construct portable rush-made houses. Remember, I said when you're talking about a cultural heritage site, it also has the lifestyles, the values, the things that these people are still doing. So with this one, we are saying it is the only area where the Nama still constructs portable rush-made houses, and it includes seasonal migrations and grazing grounds together with stock posts. The pastoralists collect the medicinal and other plants and have a strong oral traditions that are associated with different places and attributes of the landscape. So in that particular area, they are also still practicing the traditional way of making medicines and so on. And there's a strong oral traditions. This is what is passed via what? The mouth, right? Remember, the things that they are saying, they are passing them from one generation to the other. This is where you can learn about what? The Nama people. It was declared a World Heritage Site in year 2007, and it meets UNESCO's criteria number 4 and 5. Remember, I said you need to go extra mile. Don't just rely on these notes, but also add to what your teacher has given to you or what we have on your textbook, and also what you can get online and so on. Then at section number 3, which is a World Heritage Site number 3, we have fossil hominid site of South Africa that is found there in the cradle of humankind. By the name, I said it is what? Fossil hominid site. The fossil hominid site of South Africa, here it provides those people who are doing life sciences and also NS. This is not something new. So the fossil hominid site, formerly as cradle of humankind. So we need to remember that. But the correct name now, it is what? Fossil hominid site. Some history here. The Taung skull fossil site, it is part of the extension to the site inscribed in year 1999. It is the place where in 1924, the celebrated Taung skull, which is a specimen of the species of that, was discovered. Makapan Valley, which is also in the site, it also features it in its main ecological caves. So there's so much that you can discover here. The traces of human occupation and also evolution dating back to 3.3 million years ago. So this is whereby you're going to get some history in terms of evolution, apparently how we were made and so on, some discoveries in terms of science, right? The area also contains essential elements that define the region and evolution of humanity, right? So you're going to learn about all those things in terms of evolution, in terms of science. The fossils that have been found here enable the identification of several specimens of early hominids, more particularly of Paranthropus, dating back between 4.5 million and 2.5 million years ago, as well as the evidence of domestication of fire when between 1.8 million to 1 million years ago. So you can learn so much here about science, especially when you visit this particular site. Imagine, who knew that we have such a site in South Africa? So in year 1999, this site was declared what? A UNESCO's World Heritage Site and extended in year what? 2005. Which UNESCO's criteria does it meet? It meets UNESCO's criteria number 3 and 6. Then we've got the famous Robben Island. I'm just going to go back a bit again so that you can be able to write a few points on each slide, because I feel like I'm moving very fast. Robben Island, obviously we know about this one. So Robben Island, it is also UNESCO's World Heritage Site. We are saying Robben Island was used at various times between the 17th and the 20th century as a prison. Right? It is not only about Nelson Mandela. As a prison and a hospital for socially unacceptable groups and a military base. We know the history of what is called that sickness, Lepera in Sesotho. So years ago, all those people had some source and so on. We are saying there are still, some of them are still buried there. So it used to be a place to isolate people who had that particular skin disease, and then they would be buried there. It was also used what as a prison. We know for the people who were fighting against what apartheid and so on, they were isolated to this prison. It was also what a military base. So because of that history of the things that happened there, this makes it what a UNESCO's World Heritage Site. Then we are saying its buildings, particularly those of the late 20th century, such as the maximum security prison for political prisoners, witnesses a triumph of what? Democracy, which is the victory of democracy and freedom over oppression and racism. So that is why this particular site stands out as well to be part of UNESCO's World Heritage Site. When was the Robben Island declared a World Heritage Site? It was declared a World Heritage Site in year 1999, and then it meets UNESCO's criteria 3 and 4. Then for the geographers, then we also have the Vredefort Dome. This one has some history as well in terms of the things that the nature of God does. Apparently, when we get to this one, we are told that back then, a rock, I know, right? Very huge rock fell from the sky and hit this particular area there between Free State and Gauteng province. And then when it hit this, and then it created what? The earth. And obviously when a big rock falls, and then it left the evidence of domes. And then some of the rocks became what? Domes. Hence they are saying this what? Vredefort Dome. This place is well known for people who are doing geology and so on. Listen to some history. They are saying Vredefort Dome, which is located approximately 120 kilometers southwest of Johannesburg. It is a representative part of a large meteorite impact structure or astroblem dating back to 2.023 million years ago. It is the oldest astroblem yet found on Earth here in South Africa. With a radius of about 190 kilometers, it is also known as the largest and the mostly deeply eroded area. So that is some history of the Vredefort Dome. It bears witness to the world's greatest known single energy release event, which had a devastating global effects, including, according to some of the scientists, major evolutionary changes. Obviously, when that rock fell on Earth, it provides what? Critical evidence of the Earth's geological history, and it is also crucial to understanding the evolution of the planet. Right, so when you go to that particular attraction, you're going to learn about evolution, geological history in terms of the planet. Despite the importance of its impact site on the planet's history, geological activity on the Earth's surface has led to the disappearance of the evidence from most of them due to time and so on. It is the only example to provide a full geological profile of astroblem below the crater floor. It was declared a World Heritage Site in year 2005, and then it meets that criteria for World Heritage Site. Then we move. Please remember I said when it comes to this one, here is Table Mountain, right? And then the Cape Floral region, it is not on a Table Mountain. Then we have the Cape Floral region protected areas, right? So here we've got a group of plants right? Remember we said in grade 10, it is what? Group of flora. So what is Cape Floral Region Protected Areas? It was inscribed on the World Heritage Site list in the year 2004. The property is located at the southwestern extremity of South Africa, there in the Western Cape. It is one of the world's greatest centers of terrestrial biodiversity. Here we talk about the different types of plants that we have. The extended property includes national parks, meaning when you go here, hence they are saying protected areas, right? It includes national parks, nature reserves, wilderness areas, state forest, mountain catchment areas, and so on. These elements add a significant number of endemic species associated with fynbos vegetation. Now remember, we said fynbos, it is South Africa's, it is a plant that we have here in South Africa. This is also where you can be able to also find what? The protea plant, only in this particular area. So it does not only have what? It has a lot of terrestrial biodiversity. It does not only have the plants, but also some of the fauna, maybe the frogs and so on that are only found in this particular area. Then we are saying this site was described a World Heritage Site in year 2004 and also extended again in year 2015. Then it meets UNESCO's criteria number 9 and 10. All right. I hope you are adding 1 or 2 points. Then we've got Isimangaliso Wetland Park. Right? There on your paper, the one that you wrote now, the skills assessment, we spoke about St. Lucia, right? Wetland Park. Just remember that we are talking about Isimangaliso Wetland Park, formerly known as St. Lucia, right? So what we're talking about here, when you look at this, you can see here we've got some ocean, we've got some trees there, then we've got some wetland. It's like a wetland park, and then we know what happens at the wetland. We've got a group of what? Plants and animals that also live there. So Isimangaliso Wetland Park. This is an ongoing fluvial marine and aerial process in the site have produced a variety of landforms. It has a lot of landforms, coral reefs, long sandy beaches, coastal dunes, lake systems, swamps, and extensive reed and permanent wetlands. So these are the things that you can meet when you come across this Isimangaliso Wetland Park. It is a very big place that has a variety of landforms, coral reefs, long sandy beaches, coastal dunes, lake systems, swamps, extensive reeds, and so on. And this is where you can also find our hippos. So it is a very big wetland park. What are we saying here? We are saying the interplay of the park's environmental heterogeneity with major floods and coastal storms and a transition geographic location between subtropical and tropical Africa has resulted in exceptional species diversity and ongoing speciation. So there's so much that we can discover here, hence we are saying different types of species. It is a group of what? Of animals that we can find there. The mosaic of landforms and habitat types create a breathtaking scenery. It has to do with what? With beauty. The site contains critical habitats for a range of species from Africa's marine, wetland, and savanna environments. It meets the which UNESCO criteria 8, 9, and 10. It was declared a World Heritage Site in the year 1999. Obviously, when you go extra mile on the internet and so on, or on YouTube there, to try to get the visuals of these attractions, you can see that there's so many tourism activities that you can also see when you visit these parks. But remember, I said we just need to focus on what is preserved in that particular World Heritage Site. Then we have Ukhahlamba Drakensberg Park, right? This is the mountain between what? South Africa and Lesotho. Obviously, in Lesotho, it is known as what? Maluti. But in South Africa, it is what? Drakensberg, Ukhahlamba Drakensberg Park. So, Maluti Drakensberg Park, this is how you must write it there on your papers if they ask you about it. Maluti Drakensberg Park, it is a town-boundary site composed of the Ukhahlamba Drakensberg National Park in South Africa and Sihlatebe National Park in Lesotho. So remember, this is a park in the borders between what? South Africa and Lesotho. When you go to Maluti Drakensberg Park, we are saying the site has exceptional natural beauty in soaring basaltic buttresses, incisive dramatic cutbacks, and golden sandstone ramparts, as well as visually spectacular sculptured arches, caves, cliffs, pillars, rock pools. Right. The site's diversity of habitats protected a high level of endemic global important plants. So you can see some of the geographical things such as the sandstones, the caves, the cliffs, and so on, but there are also group of plants that you can also discover there. The site harbors endangered species, right? Remember when you said endangered species in grade 10, we said these are the species that are about to run out. So if you do not look after them, then you might not have them. But it is also a spectacular natural site that contains many caves and rock shelters, with the largest and the most concentrated of paintings. Which paintings? The paintings of the San people who lived in this area over 4,000 years ago. You will see the last picture that I have on my side that will show you what the the evidence of the San as the habitats who once lived here around the Maluti Drakensberg Park. The Maluti Drakensberg Park was declared a World Heritage Site in year 2000 and extended in year 2013. And then there's the criteria of UNESCO that it meets. Obviously, this one will have what? Both elements of culture and also the elements of nature. Then this one we need to be very careful because it is not there on your textbook. So you need to make sure that, you take the notes. Then we have Khomani Cultural Landscape. Khomani Cultural Landscape. This is our 9th World Heritage Site that we have here in South Africa. As you can see already on the visual, you can see here what is preserved. It is some of the Nama or a group of culture that we have there. So what are we talking about when we talk about Khomani Cultural Landscape? We are saying it is located at the border of Botswana and Namibia in the northern part of the country, coinciding Kalahari-Gemsbok National Park. So it is located where? In Northern Cape Province. Khomani Cultural Landscape. This is the large expanse of the sand that contains evidence of human occupation. So obviously it's going to be what? Our cultural one. It is a large expanse of sand contains evidence of human occupation from the Stone Age, which is very long time ago, to the present, and is associated with the culture of the formerly nomadic Khoisan people and the strategies that allow them to adapt to harsh desert conditions. Right. So when you go here again, you're going to learn about the lifestyles of the San people who once lived in this particular area. We are saying these people, they developed a specific ethnobotanical knowledge, cultural practices, and a worldview related to geographical features of their environment. So you're going to learn about the history, how these people survived, and so on. And that is why this place, it is what? A World Heritage Site. Remember, they are talking about what? The nomadic Ecoscene people. During which period? During the Stone Age. The common cultural landscapes bear testimony to the way of life that prevailed in the region and shaped the site over 1,000 years ago. This one, hence I said most of our textbooks were published in year 2012, 13, and so on. So hence this one, it is not there. This one was declared a World Heritage Site in year 2017, and it meets this criteria for UNESCO 5 and 6. Right. Then the last World Heritage Site that we have the Barberton Makonjwa Mountains. We also spoke about this one when you're doing your skills assessment. Look at the pictures there. Barberton Makonjwa Mountains. Beautiful. Look at the landscape. Barberton Makonjwa Mountains, they are situated in northern eastern South Africa, where in Mpumalanga province. Remember, the first slide that I gave to you, I gave you the location in brackets of each of the following icons that we have dealt with. It is situated in northern eastern South Africa, and the property comprises 40% of the Barberton Greenstone Belt, which is one of the oldest geological structures that you can experience when you visit this attraction in Mpumalanga. The Barberton Makonjwa Mountains, they represent the best preserved succession of volcanic and sedimentary rock dating back to 3.6 to 3.25 billion years ago, when the first continents were starting to form what? Primitive on the earth. Geography as well there. It features a meteorite impact again, that it features meteorite impact fallback glaciers resulting from the impact of a meteorite formed just after the great bombardment between this period. Obviously, the people who are doing geography, they are going to understand this better. So all these geographical foundations and discoveries that are found here, these are the things that are making this particular attraction to be what? A UNESCO's World Heritage Site. When was this attraction declared a World Heritage Site? We are saying it was declared a World Heritage Site in year 2018, which is just now, and it means criteria number 8 of what? Of UNESCO. These are some of the World Heritage Sites that we have and have dealt with. Please make sure that you also download or take a picture of this presentation and add this to your notes. I have now dealt with the 10 World Heritage Sites, but now I just want to look at the last thing that you need to look at. We also have the value of the World Heritage Site. When we are talking about the value of World Heritage Site, we are talking about what? The importance. So the examiner might ask you to discuss, yes, we spoke about attraction, but what benefits would a country have when it has World Heritage Sites? Number one, remember we said when we spoke about the role of UNESCO, we said it also brings awareness of the protection. So when we have the World Heritage Site, they bring awareness of the existence of the site. Obviously, once people know that we've got sites and this is preserved there, it will cause what? An increase in tourist numbers. So World Heritage Site brings what? An awareness of the existence of this site. Obviously, after the awareness, then what is going to be what? Meaning what? Tourists are going to flock in big numbers to what? To visit that particular tourist attraction. Benefit number 3, they cause an increase in the economy as tourists bring in income to the region where they are located. So as tourists visit this attraction, the economy does what? The economy grows. Obviously, with demand and supply, we know that we need as tourists come, it means that we need more people to come and cater or serve what the tourist needs. Meaning the World Heritage Sites, they increase what? They cause an increase in employment opportunities. Then remember that the entrepreneurs, again, that needs to provide what? Services to the tourists. So when we have the World Heritage Site, we are saying they encourage what? Close working relationships between what? Communities and entrepreneurs as they provide what? Services. And then the last benefit or the value of World Heritage Site for the country where they are located, it is that they contribute to a sense of ownership and pride of cultural heritage. Remember, we said some of the World Heritage Sites that we looked at, they are owned by whom? By the community. And obviously, when the community is part of ownership, they will take what? They will take pride in terms of their cultural and natural what? Heritage. So these are some of the few points that an examiner might ask you to discuss, explain the value or the importance of World Heritage Sites, especially in tourism context where they are located. They bring in tourists. Tourists bring in money. The more tourists come, the more people are going to need jobs. There's going to be ownership, right? Tourism businesses will benefit money and so on. People will also what? Take pride in their culture and also their heritage. Few activities before we close. Let's look at this. They are saying study the map below and the pictures, right? Hence, I said to you when I gave you the tips, expect a map, but also the visuals are very important. Let's look. We've got attraction 1 here. They might say identify it. Check here's the location. Which one is it? Obviously, this one is going to be Mapungubwe Cultural Landscape. It is located where? In Limpopo. And then this one here, we've got what? Richtersveld. And then here we've got what? Table Mountain. And then here we've got what? Ukahlamba. Remember, we said it's located between Lesotho and KwaZulu-Natal. So it is very important that you know that the pictures will also guide you in terms of remembering and so on. Let's check the questions. Then they are saying refer to the pictures, meaning hence I said study the picture. Check what are they saying. Identify the World Heritage Site labeled A to D. Write only the name. Hence I said to you that the names are very what? Important. Then you must write A, B, C, D, and then you give me the name for each icon. You will see them on the memo as well. 5.1.2, an examiner said, state one cultural criteria met by site A and one cultural criteria met by site C, right? So it is very important that you know the criteria as you're also looking at the description. Then the last question, they said, discuss 3 ways. This is going to be what? A paragraph question in which the South African tourism industry benefits from having the 8. Remember, they are no longer 8. Now I said they are 10. Remember, I said they bring income, they make tourists to come to them, culture is preserved, and so on and so on. Right? A quick one on the second one. Okay, there's the memo. 8 is Mapungubwe. Remember, I said the names must be correct. B was Richtersveld. C was Robben Island. D was Ukahlamba or Drakensberg Park. Be very careful there. Then here, remember it is part of that criteria. You need to know it. Another question again, you will see there, here is a case, study the information, you read very nicely, then again you see, oh, what the flowers and so on, but you must read, you read all the information. Let's just look at the questions. Then they say, name the 2 World Heritage Sites. Again, the names are very what? Are very important. Then check number 2, name what? The provinces. So the locations, again, they are very important when you are studying the icon. 5.3, give one reason why UNESCO granted. So here we are talking about what? The criteria and also the reason, the role of the UNESCO. Then the last activity, they are saying, study the picture again. Remember, I said the picture are very important. Let's check the question. Name the South African World Heritage Site where the gold rhino was recovered. Name the location of the discovery. You understand? So the name of the World Heritage Site is very important, and also the location is very important. 5.1.2. For an attraction to be awarded, it has to meet what? The criteria. State 2 criteria met by the, do you see? So there is a link here. Hence, I gave you that information and the criteria that each World Heritage Site meet. Then another question, state one function of UNESCO. So I gave you those functions. Then the last one, they say discuss 2 ways in which an attraction which is declared a World Heritage Site will add value to South African tourism or economy. That paragraph question that I spoke about. Then this is where I'm going to end for today with these pictures, very beautiful one. When you look at this one, this is Robben Island. Obviously, here we're going to talk about Khomani. Then here we've got the evidence of the San people there by Drakensberg Park. And then here we've got the lake that we spoke about, Isimangaliso. And then here we've got the Cradle of Humankind. Then here again we've got what? The Isimangaliso Wetland Park. I hope you have benefited one or two things. Remember that we said, let us practice social distancing, let us sanitize, let us keep on wearing our mask. Mr. Nkonyeni wasiye, Ubaba Kai Abonga wasiye. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.